Hello, everybody. My name is Rob Woodbridge. I'm here on behalf of the Location-Based Marketing Association, and I am with today, obviously, Asif Khan from the LBMA. Asif, thanks for coming on and doing this.
Glad to be here, Rob.
And also with us on this call is Tom Citriniti, who is the product evangelist for Pitney Bowes Business Insights. Tom, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Well, we appreciate you coming here and helping us try to decipher what a little bit more about Pitney Bowes Business Insights. So, first off, your title. You are the Pitney Bowes, you're a product evangelist for PBBI. What exactly does that mean?
It is a great job. Basically, it's hard to describe, and that's actually the funner part of it. But basically what we have in any software company is you have product architects and people who are, their job is to listen to customers and talk into engineering. And basically they take all the requirements for customers, put it in engineering, and then the engineers build the software, and then they throw it over the wall and give it to the customers. But then the engineers keep working on the next thing. What we were finding through customer problems and issues around a specific product that we have was nobody was sitting in engineering talking back out. So we needed somebody to say, these are the best practices, this is how you use the software, this is how you use our software and new technologies, and sort of investigating all those. So we needed somebody who sat in engineering, looking out, talking to customers, and basically working with that product architect. So the architect faces in, the product evangelist faces out, and they both sit between the customer and the engineering group in order to have a continuous flow and a circular motion between those. And it works really well, actually.
Okay, so you basically, you're the rainmaker, the smooth maker.
Exactly.
All right. Well, talk about Pitney Bowes Business Insight. So, a lot of people are familiar with a lot of the companies that Pitney Bowes Business Insight has been made of. But what is your overall goal, or what is your reason for being?
Again, we are a division of Pitney Bowes. Pitney Bowes had some spatterings of software companies that they had purchased in order to acquire it over the years to do various parts of the business. And they wanted to create a sort of a software division to sort of bring it all together, because pieces of it actually were very complementary. So what they did was make Pitney Bowes Business Insight, which is basically the software division of Pitney Bowes. We include all the data analysis tools to organize your data, find your data, cleanse your data. So we bring in all those data sources and all those data feeds. We'll talk about it some more later. In that we bring it together, we allow you to cleanse it. So find errors in your data entries or duplicate entries and sort of make it all as accurate as possible. We allow you to store that and catalog it so that you can find it later, and then basically start doing some heavy-duty analysis against that. And of course, the core piece to all of this is sort of that location intelligence aspect of it. So what are the trends that, this data is near this other data, or what is the magnitude with respect to one another, spatially anyways. Then we allow you to visualize that data in various different ways, and then of course push it to the web. So in one fell swoop, and all of our tools sort of working together, we can take raw data that hasn't been processed, we can fix it, analyze it, do some heavy-duty lifting on it, and then of course publish it out to any website. And our tools sort of integrate into all sorts of different things. And the main emphasis behind this is to help businesses make better decisions. So ergo, the business insight kind of thing. So basically our main emphasis is to enable businesses, enable our customers to make better business decisions through using our technologies and location intelligence.
How much of your business is focused on, how much is PBBI focused on the geospace, the location space? Is it a good portion? Does it all emanate from there?
Actually, it does. That's the one thing that we do. That's the main strength of what we do. So, we were talking earlier a little bit before the call about, gathering information, finding out what trends are. Everything has a location intelligence basic component to it now. Everybody's walking around with their cell phones. Everybody's tweeting. Somebody's checking in here. They're checking in there. And a lot of the tools that are out there now basically just show you where you are and show where other people are. What our tools allow you to do is start analyzing that. So now find trends in how people are moving, find trends in what people are going more towards, allows you to do spatial relationships between those. So not only finding where people are going, but how close are these hotspots to me, and it allows you to make better decisions other than just the fact that where is everybody right now and who's closest to me. So everybody can do, most of the people out there, and you'll see these different providers and everything, give you the ability to say, collect the data and just show the data. What we add is this heavy-duty analysis that allows you to analyze the data, make better decisions, look into the future, do cost analysis, and a bunch of other things as well. So we do the heavy lifting where other people do sort of the data aggregate, but we do the data aggregate as well.
Okay, let's jump on that a little bit. You know, a lot of these consumer apps, you know, the Foursquares, the Koalas, you know, the check-in platforms, let's call them that. You know, they've been at it for a little while. They're gaining popularity. You know, some faster than others. Foursquare is now what 7.5 to 8 million users. But one of the things that we've seen is you know, while people are going to certain places and they're checking in and they're being driven by, you know, deals and coupons and all that kind of stuff, you know, the next wave that we've more recently seen in the last kind of couple of months at best is, you know, they're moving from pure check-ins to what's called recommendation engines. And so Foursquare announced, you know, their recommendation engine, where another Boston-based company also has this capability. And so what they're saying is not only do we want you to check in here and find some value, some deal, something, but you know, we're going to tell you, we're going to make recommendations to you on places you should go based on where you've been before, based on where your friends are going, and we're going to start to do that. And for me, kind of the next big wave is what you just talked about. It's about, you know, the predictive piece, you know, having access to all that data and then being able to say, not only here's a recommendation on where you should go, but knowing potentially where people are going to go and what they're going to do and where those places are. So I think, you know, do you not think that there's a huge role for PBBI to play in that space?
That's a space we actually do a lot of work in already in the context of predictive analytics is one of our main divisions that we've been invested in for quite some time now. And the key behind that is the fact that we, you know, can take the data that exists out there and then start making prediction about it. So customers can figure out where is the next best place to create the, you know, the next Foursquare, the next hottest spot sort of thing. So, and basically that's all around the models that are built inside predictive analytics. Predictive analytics isn't basically following, you know, just where everybody's rolling, but some of the models actually look at the trends and where people are going and where the data is moving, and then start predicting where the next great trend will be as well. So it's not just the fact of collecting the data and then sort of visualizing it, it's putting a model on top of it. And predictive analytics is about creating that model and having that model bring all the inputs together and sort of make a decision and then sort of start predicting things going into the future. So our software has quite a few different models available to it for both location, for store locator. I've got all these different data feeds coming in. How do I put those into a model so that it can predict where should I put my store? Where should I put my next, you know, coffee shop?
Right. And I saw you guys just put out a study recently targeted at the quick serve restaurant community that basically said, you know, based on your models, based on the data that you analyzed, you know, if you're going to put a quick serve restaurant, coffee chain, you know, location somewhere, here are the top 3 cities that you should be looking at based on, you know, cities over this particular size, over 1 million in population, you know, exactly. And so on and so forth. So yeah, I totally see that. But let's take it in a slightly different direction. I mean, the consumers know, you know, to some extent know about these check-in platforms. To a lesser extent, you know, there's some analytics tools that are starting to emerge that are focused exclusively on check-in data. So, you know, for example, there's GeoToco in Vancouver. There's ValueVine, which is focused on, you know, multi-location retailers, quick serve and Best Buys and guys like that. There's Moment Feed. So there's a few of these guys out there. You know, do you see some sort of an offering coming down the pipe, you know, where you're gonna try and compete directly in that space? Because I mean, let's be honest, PBBI is a company that's kind of known in the enterprise world, but I would say that there isn't a consumer that knows who you are, other than you sell photocopiers.
And stamps, and stamp machines.
And stamp machines, yeah.
And stamp machines, yeah.
Exactly. Well, the other part of it is we have been, you know, through our other products, you know, the Group 1 as well as the MapInfo brands have been doing this stuff for ages. So I can guarantee that you've used our software in the past. It's just you didn't realize you were using our software. Right. So the key isn't the fact that we need to get in the consumer space, but the key is to make sure that our models predict the things that consumers want to see and that somebody's willing to use those. So those different site analysis tools you were referring to earlier, basically probably using some of the models that we've developed in the past. So they've taken the models and they start applying those to these very specific areas. Whereas we have very generic engines, so we can take any sorts of data, apply it through our models, and then start making sort of analysis against those. And one of the trends that we have been looking at recently is to be a little bit more vertical focused. So, Steve, I think you're right on the money in that, do we take our technologies and start really looking at targeting these very vertical areas, such as where check-ins or trends in check-ins or where people are going, or some of these other locator type applications. So that is an area that we are looking at. And we actually do have a whole division sort of working, not a division, but basically a group working on these new vertical type application environments, as we call it, the emerging group. So the emerging technologies, these new technologies that people are interested in. So we have been sort of focusing and taking a look at some of those. Obviously, these social trends are very hot right now. Our models will apply directly to those, and that's probably an area that we're going to be focusing more on in the future.
It's funny that the way I see it is that you guys have created the equivalent to a macro view, right? So you're talking about massive trends, an incredible amount of data being fed into your systems, and the output is that, listen, as the example that Asif said, if you're looking at fast food or a fast serve restaurant or a coffee shop, these are the greatest cities because there's a lack of these types of restaurants or these types of chains in here, and it's really a macro level. The check-in technologies that we're seeing today, these new trends of check-in technologies, are almost like the blood cells of it. It's so micro, it's so focused, so localized that the combination, it would seem, of what you're doing and what they're doing, very complementary. But instead of saying at the outcome, is saying open up a chain or a restaurant here in the city, it's more like on this corner at this intersection because of the traffic of both of your data. Is that something that you're aiming towards?
Well, that's actually what we do now.
Okay.
Our data analysis routines actually work at that level to say this is the block groups, and we basically work at the macro level, which is of course country level, and we start dividing things up into groups. And those groups start going even smaller than zip code block groups. So our analysis, and we did it once. We were demoing it. Of course, they asked, somebody give me your address. So I gave my address, and they basically described the buying tendencies and the people that live in my block group, which is basically the area right around where I live. And so that's the kind of thing that we go towards. So we can break it from the macro all the way down to the micro level, and it's all based on the data feed that you get in. So these, this whole social networking thing is huge, but it's not that huge that we can't handle all the data feeds and to come up with a rational decision as to where should I place my thing, where's the next great area that we should be interested in. But the model has to be tweaked in order to answer the questions for that specific social area, that social question that I'm trying to answer. But basically, there's a set of algorithms, a set of models that you can use in order to apply to these differing data sources and data types in order to come up with an answer. But we can actually get down to that micro level. You want to store here at this corner. That's basically what our predictive analytics is the result.
So let me ask you this question about what's going on we're seeing in the industry is that there are a lot of small players that are accumulating a lot of data right now that are kind of starting over from scratch or building out this layer, this new layer based on mobile usage. So all the data is coming in from a mobile device. When big guys like you walk into this industry, do you how do you work with those guys whose data might not be normalized, whose data might be all over the place or not standardized? Do you work with them? Do you try to incorporate them into what you're doing, or have you got so much data that you'll just eventually you hope that your data, they leverage your data? It's a nice way of putting it.
Thank you. I was going to say steamroll. Steamroll was coming to mind, but
but that's the new guys that are coming into and building this. It's they're starting over. You guys have history, years of data and analysis and analytics, so they're almost reinventing your business that you invented years ago.
Well, that's an excellent point in the context that they're not really reinventing, but finding new areas in order to use the base technology that we have. So we work all across that spectrum, in the context that we will allow, we embed our software and our services inside other people's frameworks. So we have lots of customers out there who are very specialized in trying to predict specific trends in this very specific vertical. They'll use our tools inside, so we help them use our tools inside their framework. And basically that was a couple different companies that it's at one level were independent companies that were using our software to do predictive analytics, and then a couple of them actually folded into our group,
right? And
it basically became part of our core technology. So we're not only trying to answer the questions, but we also really enjoy helping other customers, other people who are sort of experts in that area, because it's difficult to be an expert at everything, right? Yes. We can't have everybody in our group say, okay, we're going to jump into this vertical and also become the driving force behind it. So what we really like to focus on is the fact that we enable other people to make good decisions and to use location intelligence and to assist their business decisions. So I don't really see us as the steamrollers. We're more the enablers. So I just love going to customers, learning about what they're doing, and then helping them use our technologies and integrate it into their systems. And then basically they're like, wow, you can do all this stuff, and this makes it so much easier for us. And they're basically the content experts.
Yeah.
And basically we'll never be those content experts. So let's help. My focus is, and I think across the board is, let's not try to be the answer, but let's be the enabler of the answers.
Great point.
Good solution selling principles, Tom.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Everybody agrees with me, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, so just one last question I wanted to kind of
Sure.
get your view on. So the LBMA has this kind of very broad view of what is location-based marketing. To us, it's the intersection, integration of all media around a specific place. And so, we look at it and say it's not only about mobile, it's not only about check-ins, but, if someone's in a Starbucks, there's a billboard across the street, there's a Wi-Fi network in there, there's all these other data points, these media influencing, capabilities out there.
Yep.
And so, question to you is you talked about data feeds, you talked about all this data that you have. Do you see a world, and is it already in your purview, but do you see a world where the billboard is geotagged, the Wi-Fi network has coordinates on it, and all the media that's out there is somehow feeding into this, and we're able to kind of analyze that? Because one of the things I see on the marketing side is, when I sit down with brands and agencies and media buyers and people like that, they're like, it's great that you can show me, the heat map that says, in downtown New York City, over the last 3 days, here are all the Foursquare and Goala check-ins, and that's great. But what would be even better is if I could see that, and at the same time overlaid on that same map is, as a brand, I could say, let's say I'm, the Gap, where all my billboard spend is, where I actually have billboard ads running right now, where my TV coverage is, where all, so from a media and marketing perspective, I think that is something that is the holy grail of what we're all dreaming for in this world of location-based marketing. How can PBBI help us with that?
That's the perfect finishing question. I really enjoy that one. And that's basically, the thing that PBBI has is that we're a conglomeration of multiple different disciplines. So we have the predictive analytics, we have the data acquisition and the data cleansing aspects, and we also have the data visualization side of things as well. So our whole suite is designed around the fact that, we're going to take massive amounts of data and try to integrate it in. So you've got your sources and you got your sink, right? So I've got these multiple sources coming into my system, and they're all data feeds from different data points. We have very strong analytical engines and also very strong, SQL engines as well that allow you to integrate this data and start joining data feeds that you never thought you were able to join before.
Right.
So taking the data feed from somebody at a Starbucks and then basically saying, well, it's kind of windy today, and you're taking the storm feed, and this one section of cities are always really stormy. Maybe people don't like walking in the wind, so they go down another avenue, right, to get to this other area. And so things that you never thought of before that were kind of influencers in the trends that people do, you can start feeding all those different data sources into our system. And once you get it into our system, then basically it's all open. You can do anything you want to any data source and start joining it to other data sources. So I can take the wind data and join it and say, how does this predict when there's a customer here, or in this wind area, or whatever area you want to look at. Basically, all of those data feeds can now start working together. And then basically you take all those different data feeds and you start laying them on top of exactly what you said, laying them on top of this base map. So then I can start seeing the trends and influences across each other and how they influence one another. And I used to teach a visualization class at a local college, and basically that's what the professors wrestled with most of the time. So they would walk in with this spreadsheets and say, see, look at all these trends. And you're like, I don't see anything. But as soon as you took that and visualized it, and I'm a very visual person, as soon as you visualized it and showed sort of the magnitude, and then the magnitude with respect to one another, then all of a sudden the mind is opened up to say, now I see the trends. Trends are about magnitude and movement. They're not about numerical changes in decimal points or anything. So we need to be able to see those changes in magnitude, change in tendencies, and to visualize that. And our sync software, our mapping software, basically allows you to just integrate all those different data feeds in multiple different ways, all sorts of different, beyond the heat map. You can do vector flows, you can do all sorts of other things. You can do 3D if you wanted to, in order to do the analysis and to look at how that data feeds. So that's an excellent question, and an excellent, sort of wrap up to the whole thing is we take it from nuts to bolts. We have the data cleansing. So I think Rob, you hit on it earlier. What happens if I have bad data or data feeds that's coming in and things aren't really coded correctly, or the zip code's slightly wrong, or they're putting, now they're putting them across town. Our geocoding and our cleansing engines take care of that by uniforming everything, making sure it's correct, putting it according to CAS certification, which is the Postal Service certification. Once it's all in place, we can sort of bunch it together and make sure that it's accurate and correct, and then push it through the system, analyze it, and then visualize it at the end.
It just sounds so complete. And ultimately, it'll mean that the street vendors in New York City who magically appear with the umbrellas will be in the right street at the right place at the right time based on a whole bunch of trends, so that as I'm walking by, they'll be able to give me the umbrellas, right?
Exactly.
Distilling it down.
That's where the weather feed is in, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. It's pretty amazing, this technology. It's you guys have been working behind the scenes for so long and integrating your technology into others that it's funny that the industry, you've grown up as the industry, and all of a sudden, mobile devices have brought this industry into the mainstream, and that's the transition that you guys are facing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Is how do we apply our tools and our technologies into this this higher? And it's a perfect fit. And these trends in predictive analytics, I think, see if you're exactly right, is the next big trend is going to be not just telling everybody where everybody is, but let's find out where the trends are moving and how people get there.
Love it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Good stuff.
This has been great. So we've been speaking with Thomas Citriniti, who is the product evangelist for Pitney Bowes Business Insight. Tom, thanks so much for giving us this little glimpse into PBBI. And as always, Asif from the LBMA. Go to the LBMA.com.
And just one last comment. Both Tom and I will be at the Location Intelligence Enterprise Strategies for Location Intelligence event in Chicago at the end of the month, 30th and 31st. So encourage you to come out. And if you go to the LBMA site, you can get a code there for a discount on access to the event. So there you go.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.